My name is Clive Williams. Welcome in the Courtyard Marriott Paramaribo, and welcome to a new episode of International Relations, a talk show where Dime Network, your business channel, highlights the bilateral and multilaterals of Suriname with countries and organizations from abroad. Brazil, officially the Federative Republic of Brazil, the world's fifth largest country by area and sixth populous in the world, with a population of more than 200 million people. Brazil is the largest country to have Portuguese as an official language and the only one in the Americas. With over 30,000 Brazilian residents living in Suriname, they make up for at least 6% of the Surinamese population. And we are privileged to have the resident Brazilian ambassador, Mr. Laudemar Aguiar, as our guest in international relations. Welcome, Mr. Ambassador. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you very much, Clive.
Brazil, also known as the world's 8th largest economy. What is the one biggest thing, one big benefit Suriname has, or Suriname can have from Brazil as a neighboring country?
Yes, we are big, but you know, in international relations, size doesn't always matter. And in fact, in diplomacy, you know, in international organizations, regional organizations, it's one country, one vote. So I'd like to highlight that. Suriname and Brazil on the international arena, we are the same, size doesn't matter. But in the bilateral relations in our region, yes, we have developed several areas, from agriculture to industry to other areas of interest of Suriname, where we can, let's say, support or have a partnership with Suriname. I'd rather say more partnership and cooperation than help, because in any cooperation there is something that we give and something that we get back, and that's how I see our relations.
I understand that the relationship between Suriname and Brazil go way back. How would you describe the development of this relationship up to date?
It's interesting because since your independence in '75, we started discussing cooperation agreement. We have since the beginning of '76, let's say an umbrella, a cooperation agreement umbrella that covers all areas where we could develop our relationship. And the relationship has always been excellent. But of course, there are moments where we can get closer, where we can cooperate more, where we can get more things being done. And I'm glad to say this is the moment. We have a new momentum now that started coincidentally, I would say, with my arrival here. And since 2018, we have been doing lots of things that we may talk about.
Okay. Most of the development, though, most of the development goals of Suriname reflects areas where Brazil excels. Like, for instance, a leader in agriculture, strong domestic industry, booming tourism. How can a transfer of knowledge and experience be realized in these areas?
Suriname is the largest partner with Brazil in technical cooperation. We have signed 4 agreements on technical cooperation. We have signed other in investments and police cooperation. And I'm glad to say that we are covering areas where we can support Suriname in capacity building, in training, in areas where we have more expertise. Like, for instance, you said agriculture, where in the last 20 years we had this enormous development.
We talked about the benefits that Suriname gets from Brazil, but vice versa, are there benefits from Suriname?
Of course, I mean, in every kind of cooperation and partnership, there are mutual benefits. Or you can extract mutual benefits. One thing that impressed me since I arrived here in Suriname is knowing that you speak at least 4 languages since you were born, practically. I mean, you speak, most of the population speaks Dutch, English, Ranantong, and depending on your background, you may speak Hindu, Javanese, Mandarin, Creole, other dialects. That's fantastic, and that's something that we don't have in Brazil that we can learn from you. We speak only Portuguese, some people speak English, but we barely speak a second language, and this is something that if Suriname can show us that you can speak so many languages, why can't we try to do the same? And this would boost our tourism industry, could be useful for us in several areas. So this is something that we can definitely learn from you. On another layer, every cooperation project that we have, we can learn from that because, again, Brazil is big. We have several cities that have more than millions of inhabitants, but we also have medium and small cities. We also have our countryside, our inland. And so what we do here, the projects we develop with Suriname, can also be applied to Brazil. And as you mentioned, we have also some Brazilians that live here in Suriname. We don't know exactly how many that would be. It's difficult to measure, whether 15, 30 or 50,000. But if we are working with you, we are also benefiting the Brazilian population that lives here in Suriname.
Yes, thank you. That is awesome. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. This is International Relations. And we're here at Courtyard Marriott with our ambassador from Brazil, Mr. Laudemar Aguiar. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to be at Brazilian Army Day. I spoke with an interpreter and he actually highlighted how you were such an exciting person. In fact, his exact word that you were one of the most excited persons, ambassador that he has ever met. Can you tell us a little bit more of what drives you, what motivates you to be that sort of an ambassador?
Well, I don't know if I'm like that. Maybe I'm like that, despite the fact that I'm an ambassador. I mean, people react differently. People have different ways of working and of, addressing life. I can tell you that my mom is turning 89 and she is still working and painting. So maybe I took that from her. I got that from her. But I think the way you express yourself is also the way that you can get closer to people. I have always been like that before becoming an ambassador. And whenever there's music around, I cannot stand still. I'm sorry, I'm Brazilian, I come from Rio, so that's in my blood. But about being energetic, I think the things that I think I have to do with Suriname, the cooperation we can develop, is driving me to be energetic or excited, as you said. And I think this is teamwork. Not only I have this in my embassy with the attaches that I have, with the staff that I have, but also I have found very good interlocutors in the government of Suriname and in society in general. So that helps.
You've made quite an impressive introduction. Being in Suriname for less than 6 months, how has it been being here in Suriname?
Well, it has been fantastic. In fact, I may tell you that every predecessor, I met some of my predecessors and I met other diplomats who left Suriname after I arrived, and all of them regret leaving Suriname. And I'm getting this feeling as well. So it's a very welcoming country. People are welcoming, people are warm. And something that I have noticed, and it was not only me, but the Director General of our Diplomatic Academy was here last month, and he said the word that I think best qualifies Surinamese people. You're sophisticated in simplicity.
Was it actually what you expected when you took up the post?
Well, in fact, I knew very little about Suriname. Of course, I knew the general idea about Suriname. I had the general information about Suriname, of course, during my career. It's part of South America, which is a priority to us, to Brazil. But I didn't know those specifics about the character, about the way Surinamese greeted people and related to people. And I may say this is across the board. with people I meet in the streets, with people I meet in parties, and with my meetings with the government.
So tell me what place or experience or even person that gives you that gives you that big impact, that motivates you.
Well, I wouldn't like to identify one person or one place, but I will. I will because I think in my job it's very important that to develop good work, that you have good interlocutors. That I mean, you cannot work if you don't have someone who will relate to you the same way that you try to relate to that person or to that government. And I have found in the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Suriname, Ms. Ildis Polak-Bigli, a wonderful interlocutor. I mean, she's bright, she's quick, she's objective, she knows what she wants, she knows what the government of Suriname wants. I think I know what the government of Brazil wants, and we have been working very well together. And in another level, I was impressed to come to Reditex and to meet more than 20 to 30 visual artists in Suriname who were just amazing and now make part of my private collection.
Are you here with family?
No, I am alone, in fact, but I am enjoying. I should enjoy more, but there are so many things to do, so much work to do, that I'm not enjoying as much as I could outside work. But yes, I have been to the east of Suriname, to the west of Suriname, to Albina, to Nikeri. I have been to Bronsweg, to Brokopondo. I have even done canopy in Bergendal, but I want to go more to the interior, to the inland, and to know more about Suriname. I think it's very important for any ambassador, for any foreigner to know the country he lives in.
That is awesome. Are you now active in the Brazilian community?
I think I should be more active, but yes, that's part of my job, that's part of my job description, to support and to engage with the Brazilian community in any country you live in. And as ambassador, of course, this goes with the job. Not only I have tried to enhance the work of what we call the Council of Brazilian Citizens, representatives of Brazilians who are here, who work here in different areas and who have this contact with Brazilians all over the place. So we are trying to do things together. They were part of our effort in our itinerary consulate in Albina. We'll have 2 more itinerary consulates in Brokopondo and in Bensdorp. So the idea is to know more about the needs and what we can do to support the Brazilian community here. And not only unilaterally, but together with the government of Suriname, we have several projects that will in fact impact positively the Brazilian community living here.
In addition to that though, is there a personal goal or mission that you would like to accomplish here in Suriname?
Well, I think that if when I leave Suriname, and in principle I'm posted here up to 5 years, after 5 years, if people tell that bilateral relations between Brazil and Suriname have gotten better, enhanced, deepened, and amplified, my work is done.
Brazil is ready to claim its place on the world stage. As a founding member of the United Nations, Brazil advocates for expansion of UN Security Council and possibly a permanent seat in the council as well. Why is this so important to Brazil?
I think this is important not only for Brazil, but also for developing countries in general. Because what we see now in the Security Council, I mean the 5 permanent seats, 5 permanent members, and 10 rotated non-permanent members, doesn't reflect the present situation. I mean, it was it's the reflection of what we had in 1945. So we should have more developing countries in the Security Council, not only as non-permanent members, but as well as permanent members. And this would also reflect a shift in international relations. The permanent members of the United Nations are nuclear powers. Brazil and other countries that are willing to contribute to the United Nations and to the Security Council would be non-nuclear powers. So the idea is to give a broader participation of developing countries and to reflect the present stage of international relations. That's what we want, and we think we can contribute to that. And not only as Brazil itself, but Brazil has been known in international organizations as a consensus builder, as trying to defend and to try to bring onto the world stage the needs and the worries of developing countries. And I think we can do that if we are more participative in the Security Council of the United Nations.
But how will that influence Brazil's role as a BRICS country? And how will it influence the BRICS as a whole?
You know, BRICS is one of the terminologies that have risen in the last years, but Brazil sees itself as a global player. We are part of BRICS, as we are part of Mercosur, we are part of UNASUR, we are part of OAS, we are part of several different international and regional organizations. So we try to work in different scenarios and in different places, and together with different countries. So the idea is we are able to contribute to international organizations and to the development of our neighbors and our developing countries.
You mentioned UNASUR. I recently realized that that Brazil temporarily suspended its membership. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
What I can tell you as ambassador to Suriname is that we welcome very much the efforts that the government of Suriname is willing to do to promote UNASUR and the cohesion that we should have in any regional organization. Brazil is a founder of UNASUR, and what we want with UNASUR and other regional organizations is to develop our region, to make our region better. There are times where countries are not so convergent, and times where we have more convergent visions. This is part of international relations. You know, what is good about diplomacy is that we are representative of our governments, but we are also representatives of our states. We have a long-term perspective, a long-term view, a sustainable view. So something that may not be working so well today doesn't mean that will not work better tomorrow. And that's the work of diplomacy, to make things work better all the time.
But is Simon Bolivar's dream of uniting Latin America now completely shattered? Or are there other strategies to develop strong Latin American country?
You know, not only Simon Bolivar, but other heroes and other representatives, patrons in Latin America and the Caribbean have worked for a more united continent. And I think this is not lost at all. I think this is one of the priorities that we have had. I mean, all countries in Latin America and the Caribbean have had. And I think we will work together, will create other windows of opportunities to get better together and to develop together.
Brazil has its upcoming elections in October. What are your expectations, and will it affect the relationship that we have Brazil and Suriname?
Whatever is the outcome of the election, whoever wins the presidency of Brazil and whatever will be the composition of our legislative branch and who will win the governorships of the states in Brazil won't change the relation and the close relation and the friendship that we have with Suriname.
As a newly appointed ambassador, you already have quite a track record here. Amongst your achievement, you escorted the president of Suriname to Brazil to meet your president. How was that experience?
Well, it was an amazing experience because he was kind enough to invite me to join his delegation, and I flew with him to Brazil. That was so kind of the government of Suriname, and again, that shows what I said, not only education, but sophistication and the will to get us closer in our relationship. Those visits are creating something to speed up, I mean the relationship to speed up, but things that have been talked about, things that have been agreed upon, are really turning into concrete projects. So our ministers came here and we have been discussing a memorandum of understanding on interinstitutional police cooperation, and this was signed during our president's visit. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Suriname went to Brazil and signed a memorandum of understanding between our diplomatic academies. Just last month, the Director General of our Rio Branco Institute came here and signed a work plan with the new created Suriname Diplomatic Institute. We had other agreements signed, and we have now concrete projects going on. The President of Suriname signed projects and spoke to his counterpart, the President Michel Temer from Brazil. The ministers spoke in bilateral relations, and from those talks, I already had yesterday a meeting with Buza, talking about concrete projects. And the Minister of Agriculture in Brazil and the Minister of Agriculture of Suriname have discussed things that have already been developed here. So things are going on. That means we have a new momentum in the bilateral relations, and things are speeding up, not only because of the bilateral visits that are happening, but because we are not sitting on the ideas. We are putting those ideas into practice, and we are speeding up those projects. So I can say you today that less than 6 months here in Suriname, I'm just amazed to see that I have people that I can work with that give results. And that's what an ambassadorship means, to try to cooperate in concrete matters. We are developing projects that are focused on one area, but also relate to other areas. So when we talk about school feeding, you are talking about sustainable development, you are talking about education, you are talking about agriculture.
So what do you see as potential challenges?
Well, the challenges, I think the main challenge that we have now is logistics. The logistics and transport links between Brazil and Suriname are still very weak. We should develop that so that we can develop more tourism and trade between our two countries.
How will you meet those objectives? Do you have plans in place?
Yeah, the idea is to try to find ways. We have things in place, and we are trying to develop ways of enhancing these links that we have between Brazil and Suriname. Trading with Suriname by air, by sea, and by the neighboring countries. So the idea is to try to develop those links so that we can develop more our trade. Our trade should and will be more developed in the coming years. I'm so certain of that.
What would you say to the thousands of Brazilians living here in Suriname? And it's okay for you to do it in Portuguese.
A comunidade brasileira pode estar certa de que a Embaixada do Brasil, não só o embaixador, mas toda a equipe da Embaixada do Brasil e as adjudâncias que fazem parte da Embaixada do Brasil, junto com o Conselho de Cidadãos, vai tentar contribuir ao máximo para se aproximar mais e para apoiar a comunidade brasileira no Suriname, que na realidade não é uma comunidade, são várias comunidades, aqui em Paramaribo e mesmo em áreas mais distantes, como em Albina, em outras áreas de mineração. Nós já fizemos um consulado itinerante, temos ideia de fazer mais consulados itinerantes e ajudar não somente em questões consulares, mas também em outras questões ligadas à parte social e à parte de educação e saúde para a comunidade brasileira. E eu espero que nós possamos ter uma interação cada vez maior, porque esse é o nosso trabalho e essa é uma das prioridades da política externa brasileira onde nós estamos. To sum up, just to tell you that our team at the embassy, together with our attaché, our police attaché and our defense attaché, and all the team at the embassy, together with the Council of Brazilian Citizens, we are trying to get nearer to the Brazilian community. We are trying to get closer to them, to work closer to them, to do more things together. As I said again, we had an itinerary consulate of the Brazilian embassy in Albina to get closer to the Brazilians who can't come to Paramaribo, to issue more passports, to help them to understand what the legalization process means, together with the Ministry of Justice and Police and together with the Ministry of Health of Suriname, to address health issues like HIV, AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. And we are planning to have in July and September and October new itinerary consulates to go to places where we know there is a Brazilian community and there is difficulty for them to come to Paramaribo. The Embassy of Brazil in Suriname, we're based in Paramaribo, but the idea is to be present all around the territory of Suriname. And we look at the Brazilian communities as a community that also contributes to the development of Suriname. They are working, they are contributing to the development, to the economy of Suriname, and we want to work closer to them for the development of the country and, of course, of the Brazilian community.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Ambassador. It was a pleasure having you with us on behalf of Dime Network and Courtyard Marriott. We want to thank you so much for joining us here on International Relations.
Thank you very much. Thank you well.
We have a small token of our appreciation for you being here today. And if you notice, we got it engraved for you.
Thank you very much. It will go onto my desk. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So we wish you all the best, and we look forward to more conversations like this on yes, platforms like this. My name is Clive Williams. Join us next time on Dime Network, your business channel.